Team presents.
This is an intriguing matchup that we have here. Because previously, if you go back 4, 5, 6 years, I wasn't that interested in this fight. I didn't really want to see Pacquiao get a shot against Mayweather. I knew he was good, borderline great. I didn't know how great he really was. And I also looked at the size disparity. And that's still something I'm concerned about. But over the years, when I saw this guy develop, I saw Pacquiao make a name for himself. I saw him rise from defeat. I saw him look good in defeat when he did lose. All these things built my confidence up in him. And I started believing in him. So now, and then I see this training camp and I see what they put into working on countering techniques, to work on slipping the counter, to work on in and outward movement, working on his flaws. The one thing I hope that he worked on, was his ability to dodge the right hand. I know that was the focus of the training camp. When I look at the last 3, 4 fights he had, that's one thing that's a problematic consistency. Too easy to land that lead right hand on him. Algieri landed it pretty consistently in that fight, and that's not a good look. But one thing about it is this, and I said this to many people. If I'm coaching Manny Pacquiao, I'm bringing him into this fight, telling him, you know something, boy? This goes back to the schoolyards. You got a boy in front of you who's a bully. He's coming at you, hulked up, and his mindset is that he's aiming to walk through whatever you have and eventually knock you out. The same mentality the Marquez came at you with. Your mentality as your pride and as a man, I want you to approach this fight, throw nothing that is of no regard. Throw nothing that is of no regard. It should be an insult to you for a fighter to be able to walk up to you and walk through what you have without consequence and figure that they're going to just land something on you that's going to lay you out. No, you show them that no, everything that I throw is going to be of concern to you. This is not a beating. I'm not your child. You're not going to walk through me and pound me out eventually. No, you're going to be wondering if you're going to make it out of this fight alive the whole time. That's what you have to put into your opponent's head from the very start. Everything you throw has to have some type of effect, has to have a purpose, strategically and physically. Now, another thing that Floyd is pushing in this fight is he's trying to push the mentality into Manny and into his fans that, you know what, no fighter can go where I can go mentally. So, being that fights are all about mentality, I won this. You have no chance of winning. You might do well, we'll see how spirited of an effort you put up, but you have no chance of winning. Now that's another thing, that as a fighter, I want you to take offense at that. Because GSP, George Russ St. Pierre, said it best. You can't say it better than he said it. He said every fighter poses a different problem, but I know I have the solution. And that is exactly how you attack everything. You attack it as an artist. At the end of the day, I'm an artist. It's my job to scientifically find the solution. It's my job as a fighter to train myself to be able to grab onto the solution and take it when it's there. Every fighter brings a different problem, but I know I have the solution. He wasn't being pompous and saying that he had every fight in the bag. He was saying he knows he can achieve that solution. And he's going to train himself to be able to grab onto it, whoever he's facing. And that's what I believe Manny did in this training camp. So I'm not too worried about him because his confidence is high. And one thing about Manny, when he's confident like this, you know it means something. You know he's never mindlessly overconfident. If he's confident like this, he has something up his sleeve. And all I want to see is I want to see a chance.
Now for a break.
where Floyd, we're both fighters, whoever it is. Because I'm a Floyd fan too, and I love the scientist that he is, and I love the strategy he brings into the ring, and I love his passion for the sport because it's all he ever knew. But let this be a fight where both pugilists leave that ring, leaving it all on the line and knowing that, wow, that was not a sure thing. I pulled that out, but that took digging. That was not a sure thing. That could have gone either way. Let both of them know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, whoever wins. Let it not be another fight, like I told other people. Let this not be another fight where it's not in question, where you have the guy who wins walking away with a "I told you so" attitude, knowing that he had it in the bag the whole time. Yeah, I was pushed a little physically, but I knew that was coming anyway. No, that's the way this dude's thinking. He's thinking, oh, this guy's tough, but I'm gonna take care of him. So yeah, he pushed me. I expected him to push me. He's a tough guy, but like I said, I always have to. No, I don't want to hear that after the fight. I want this guy to sit there in awe that he won that fight. And I know Pacquiao has the tools to make him feel like that. So that's all I'm asking. Whoever wins, I'm not rooting for one person in particular. I'm rooting for fairness. I'm rooting for, let this fight be what it build up to. Don't let it be just another Mayweather fight. Don't let it be just another fight where, once again, a hyped up opponent walks into the ring, he tries his best, and just like Mayweather said, 47 fighters who try to throw a lot of punches and apply a lot of pressure. It never works. Let it not be another opponent. He says, yeah, he tried that strategy, and he was tough. He was a pretty tough customer. He had a decent punch, but no, I don't want to hear that. I want it to be, this guy's a tough guy, and I'm glad I got the decision. I believe I did enough to win. Where there's doubt, not controversy, but doubt. Like, wow, I didn't have that in the bag. Then it will live up to the hype. Everybody's talking about, who wins and rematches. No. That's all I care about. All I care about is that it was in doubt. Not 5 rounds of action, and then after 6 or 7 rounds, he unravels him, and then you could clearly see what was going to happen from the start. I don't want to see that. Not the first, second round come out, and man either gets knocked out in the first or second round, or he's on the ropes from the very beginning of the fight. I don't want to see that. I want him to come through. I don't want anything crazy to happen. Now don't get me wrong. If Mayweather legitimately does that, if he legitimately just comes there and Pacquiao does everything he can, but Mayweather's just skills, he just takes it to another level, he has him on the fence, and it's just natural, there's nothing funky about it, fine. That's fine. But if there's any type of controversy where it's like, it doesn't look right, somebody just didn't get a fair shake, and something crazy happens and the fight ends early, I will be very disappointed. That's why I'm like, I don't even know. I really don't know if I want to pay for this one. I want to see it. It's intriguing. It's a must-see fight. But man, I don't know.
Now for a break.
I was just talking about how I wish Pacquiao would throw more uppercuts and more body shots. We were talking actually earlier about uppercuts themselves. Some people think they're the same thing as hooks. No, they're not. A hook, anybody can do. You see the average ballroom brawler throwing hooks. Uppercuts are tough to throw. On the inside, you see some in-fighters throw uppercuts occasionally, even those you don't see that often these days, because an uppercut itself is a sophisticated move. It's not an easy move to throw. An uppercut is something that you have to have timing, positioning, angle, posture to throw. And Pacquiao can throw them. Pacquiao can throw uppercuts. I've seen him throw very good uppercuts. As a matter of fact, his hands are so much better than he gets credit for. So much better than the stupid Mayweather team talk about. They talk about him like the guy can't box a lick. Pacquiao can box. I've seen him throw beautiful uppercuts. He has a beautiful jab. His jab is better than Floyd's. He's a very stiff, tall man jab for a guy 5'6.5". Look at his jab. You tell me it looks like a jab of a 5'6" guy. The guy can jab with a 6-foot fighter because his jab is stiff, it's nice and long, it's quick, there's snap to it. But he doesn't work the body enough. If Pacquiao threw more body shots, which he just does as an afterthought, if he threw it was more consensus with the body, and he threw more uppercuts, he would be even more deadly. But I was just thinking about also Jon Jones. And I'm like, man, it really sucks that the guy has done something this stupid now. You're this intelligent. He's a very well-spoken, very intellectual young guy. An artist is what I would use to define him. And there aren't, now coming from me, you know that's not an overused word. I use the word artist with the people that deserve it. And there are probably a handful of people in the spotlight today that deserve the title artist. He's an actual artist. Just from the way he thinks, the way he expresses things, the way he goes about things, he's an artist. And he's very, very ahead of his age. Very intellectual kid. And you would think, usually when you have a brain like that, when you get into trouble, the next time you get into trouble, it's a little more calculated than that. But to do something that boneheaded, to recklessly get, strung out on drugs, and go slam into somebody's car, injuring the woman, and she happens to be pregnant, which of course makes things that much worse. You injure the woman. Now, of course, she's probably going to press charges. Now he's been stripped of the belt. And like now, you're going to have your Mike Tyson phase where he's banned. Who knows when and if he's going to be back. And now who knows if he's going to be that dominant again. We may have just seen the total end of an era. And the sad thing about it is I was kind of hoping that Dana wouldn't pull the fight, because this was actually the most important fight of Jon Jones' career. He's fought constant people. He's fought constant people who are like A-list fighters. Lyoto Machida. He won the belt from Shogun Rua. Glover Teixeira. Then he fought Daniel Cormier. He's fought so many top-list A-class fighters who were picked to probably beat him. Rampage Jackson. The list goes on and on. And he's beat them all. And the last fight was, I think, a mismatch because DC was just too small. But now he's fighting a guy in Anthony Rumble Johnson. And we're talking about in a summer of fights. This is a summer where you have Canelo Alvarez fighting James Kirkland, Floyd Mayweather having the biggest fight of history with Manny Pacquiao. This is the fight where if you don't step your game up, boxing will completely drown the UFC out completely. So they needed this fight. He's finally fighting a guy, Anthony Rumble Johnson, who has the power and the skill where this is the guy who looks like he might end Jon Jones' reign. And I actually think that Jon started to believe that, which makes me start to wonder. Because as I was saying earlier, what is the guy of his caliber? The artist, he's a meticulous artist. He's a guy that will stay in the gym. If he feels there's something about his opponent that scares him, he will stay in the gym until he's better than them at that. Why in the world would a fighter like that, a month out from the fight, be out there strung out on cocaine, driving recklessly? Why the heck would they be doing that? That's why the whole story sounds funny to me. Either he's set up or he set himself up because something about this fight scares him and he doesn't want to go through with it. I don't know what it is, but I find it very rare for a fighter of his pedigree and his working ethic to sit there and be strung out on cocaine, slamming into people's cars, hitting and then running a month out from the fight. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He should be the furthest from cocaine. Because it's hard for me to see that he did that and he expected to have the fight. I don't believe that. You expected to fight Anthony Rumble Johnson next month knowing he's the biggest threat to your title. And you're doing cocaine a month away from the fight. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right to me.
Now for a break.
Love for the city, I was born between cages with reciprocity weighing on my mind. Amidst the tragedies I experienced elevation and creation, amazing secrets of life between the pages of promise, how much is untold. I'm trapped in a bubble to expose. I feel my life is ablaze and on looking for the ember that's an explanation. The rage is hard to revolve when I'm unraveled like a black hole. If I could write the world a letter, the paper would explode. Where do I begin? Where is freedom headed? Am I product of admiration and hatred because I'm driven through a tunnel driven to the heart of that like a prey in a beach road? Tears coming to my eyes, a soldier rising to his feet. Audience captivated, check out my technique. I'm piling over this work, the hope it reaches you beyond the checklist of the madman. Defining you, I hope these fears never reach the surface. A letter to a strange world. Serious as the fly is a genius, and yet he's unknown. I always said a fool loves a debate because it's a weapon which makes you humanize a beast. Or a line of logical thought because the truth is fear and the chasm is deep. Baby, the end is near. I was born over the line. There's no question in my mind of what can happen. I wonder what will. Think of a paradise. Wonder what is forever. My last verse, you can read it at the end of the world. What are the odds of being mine of a broken vase, champion of the page, dead on the stool of the third round of a life of rage? Sometimes I don't know whether to let my guard down or lock a low, whether it's a beautiful world or a jungle. The symbolic pugilism is high science, passion and mentality I never escape. Born with reservation and passion, born caged animal raised among apes. My vision is a pain that's entitled born to. I was born to embrace. Although my life is a nightmare, I dream of waking up into a new world. The only thing is known to you is a fist. I clutch a fist to the black moon. The missing haze of vision. Levels I kiss and kill, world division. I always had a love for the winter. Listen, it tells a story. Enclosing a blue gem, small the most. Was cold, driven under madness. You remember the gem as it fell and shattered. Love for the city and these consequences don't exist. There's only time and power, poor and the rich. To these I say this, rise. My teacher showed me that every instrument in the composition should have a voice of its own. You tremble at seeing the return of Jokatech. He's only rolling in the pit. When he stands, all enemies will fall. If you don't find a way to become what you need to become, then you will cease to exist. You're already here, and you remember, not the day of destruction, but the day of the gift, but the day of the healer, but the day of the curse, but the day of the march, but the day of the search, but the day of the shootout, but the day of the lynch, but the day of black history, but the day of the poem, but the day of the drought, but the day of the storm, but the day of the free, but the time of peace, but the month of February.
But now it's over. Stupid idiot. So now he's out doing cocaine. And now it's over. But then the second part of that is kind of cool. The second full part of it, because honestly, some people think that DC did enough to where he's competitive in that fight, and who knows, it could have gone a different direction or whatever. But one thing is that I like DC as a fighter, and I really was kind of hoping that he would get another shot. So it's kind of cool that it's now an interim belt, and Anthony Rumble Johnson is going to have to fight DC, and they're going to fight for the belt. It's good to see DC getting another crack at the belt because he's such a good guy. You don't want to see him go on the shelf and now have to take a humiliating defeat, his first defeat from Jon Jones, and then have to just sit there and go back to being a commentator. You know, it's good to see him back in title contention because he did put up a good effort in that fight. He didn't utilize his wrestling enough, and the size was a little too much for him. But, and also, it's an intriguing fight too, because honestly, DC is going to have a mountain to climb fighting Anthony Rumble Johnson. As a matter of fact, this is more of a dangerous fight for DC than a rematch for Jon Jones. Anthony Rumble Johnson brings serious power. He brings the power that people thought DC was going to bring to Jon Jones. He brings it for real. We're talking about the level you out, you can't handle this kind of power. Not only can he go, but he's got that stand-up knockout power that in his legs and feet that honestly it's going to be a problem for DC. I see DC unfortunately losing another fight. That's what makes this intriguing, is because at least now we have a fight that's just as intriguing, because now everyone's going to say, wow, DC, can you take the belt with this, with this shot? Or, hey, is Anthony Rumble Johnson the real deal? It's just his time. Because I honestly believe it's Anthony Johnson's time to take the belt. It's just his time. He's humble, he's reinvented himself time and time again, and he has all of the traits to be a champion. So DC's up against something right now. Problem is, he's still facing a size disparity, because the thing about Anthony Johnson is he competed as low as welterweight somehow, but the guy's naturally actually a heavyweight. Anthony Johnson's very big, and he's actually 6'2", 200 plus pounds. Walks around at like 230 or whatever, 220. He's a big dude. He's like a slightly more compact Jon Jones with this comparable speed, more power, and who knows really, question mark as to how much skill. So DC is actually up against, in my opinion, a bigger test. So hopefully he's going to train really hard. But now it's over too. Really, question mark as to how much skill. So DC is actually up against, in my opinion, a bigger test. So hopefully he's going to train really hard, reinvent himself, because he's in for it with this fight. If he thinks this is going to be like a lower challenge than Jon Jones, then he's set up for a really, really weight.
So essentially, black hole. If I could write the world a letter, the paper would explode. Where do I begin? Where is freedom headed? And my product of admiration and hatred because I'm driven through a tunnel driven to the heart of